Dan, for today's episode of the Hounds podcast, I thought we could start off with some variety, something new.
Oh, I like it. I like a little variety every now and then. It's the spice of life.
Yeah, a little variety. I thought we could start today's episode by complaining about the weather.
Something new we've never done before.
Something new. Yeah, I am here to tell you I am officially done with winter. Oh,
Got a little cold on you, didn't it?
oh my gosh, cold enough. This has been
Yep.
the worst winter ever.
And it hasn't even started.
Yeah, we're not even at Thanksgiving yet. Oh my gosh, Dan. Terrible. I just got my outdoor wood furnace fired up for the year this week.
Finally.
Yeah.
Took you long enough. My goodness.
Yeah. Oh boy. You know, I shouldn't be saying this because there's probably someone out there that's like 40 years older than me and they're shaking their fist at their, well, I was going to say their radio, but their internet listening device out there.
Their
But
headphones.
I'm old. Yeah. And I'm getting old. Okay. And this, I don't know. I love my outdoor wood furnace, but now I'm beginning to wonder maybe I don't love it that much because I'm looking at a long winter and I'm already tired of going out to that furnace and it's only been fired up for one day.
So you filled it maybe what, 2 or 3 times and
I've
you're done.
Filled it twice. Done with it. Gosh, my joints just hurt, Dan. Everything hurts. I'm just frozen stiff. Oh,
Just wait until you get that first electric bill. Does your electric come down because of the hot water? Did you get
yes.
Yeah. Well, wait till you get that first electric bill and you see the savings, and then you realize your heat bill is not as much. All that free heat pumping into the house, then you'll change your mind.
Yeah. I throw the breaker switch on we have an electric hot water tank. It's an 80-gallon hot water tank. And I flip the switch on it. It always struck me as odd. Like when you're in Europe, they have tankless hot water. Yep. It just, I don't know. I guess this is a known answer. I don't know what the answer is. It just seems silly. Like when I used to have a real job and my wife was at work, back at our house in the basement, we had an 80-gallon tank filled with hot water. And it just seemed pointless. Why can't you just heat the water up when you need it? Which is what we do, because the way my outdoor wood furnace heats the domestic hot water, the water going into the tank is already at temperature.
Yep, it preheats it up and puts it in.
Yeah. It just seems inefficient to be spending all that money to have this 80-gallon tank of hot water in the basement when you don't need hot water.
Yeah, it does kind of make you wonder sometimes. I've seen those tankless systems. It's kind of like, I think it's like a hot water on demand. They're like, some of them use natural gas. And yeah, you just heat the water as you need it or as you use it.
Yeah. That style of hot water has got everything in common with firewood delivery. It's just tankless job.
In the tank.
Yeah, it's in the tank. My sales are not in the tank. The sales have just been, oh my gosh. My shoulder is killing me, Dan. If I have to count just one more $20 bill, I'm just going to scream. Huh.
Is your lower back sore from your wallet? Throw on your
Sitting
lumbar?
on my wallet. Uh-huh. Yeah, my phone just doesn't stop ringing. And I'm starting to sweat out the supply thing here because my supply is like 4 to 6 months down the road. And I could be looking at trouble here. So I got to come up with a plan somehow, some way to keep myself in supply.
Yeah, I know you've mentioned that before, that you're kind of starting to sweat down there a little bit. You don't have the logs coming in.
No, I don't. It has got me I don't know. Part of the plan is to assess what's going on, you know, and just figure out if this is something to keep going. Am I just rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic, or am I just going to have a fundamental shift in the way my business operates? And maybe I'll just be a firewood broker instead of a
Oh,
producer.
the middleman, the man in the
Yeah.
middle. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah. I had a delivery today, but where I've been buying firewood, I got to use my trailer. And gosh, I just don't like having the trailer out on the road. And then now you get a winter storm warning, and then the state just douses the road with that brine and the
Yep.
salt, and that with a all steel trailer just doesn't add up.
Not good.
Yeah, my new trailer is going to look like my old one here in a couple more months, I'm afraid. Yeah.
So where you get your firewood from, do they have logs brought in? Like, are they in a sense in competition with you for logs, or do they have a different source?
No, they're kind of out of my area for because the one supplier of this one gentleman, I had talked to them a few years ago, and they're just wanted just a crazy dollar amount because it's just too far. But it's kind of like on the outer where they deliver to this guy, there he's kind of on the far end of their region, of their area.
Okay.
But gosh, every time I go up there, he's just got so much wood. I just feel so inadequate because he at one time had over 30 triaxle loads of logs all in a beautiful row
Ooh.
on his land. And I got crumbs on mine.
Wow. Yeah, that's a lot of
Yeah.
logs.
Yeah, oh my gosh. Yeah. He does it all by himself with a chainsaw and a super splitter. Not joking.
Jeepers.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So I have 3 people now that are making wood for me. He's the highest volume, and then, I got these 2 other guys. The one helps me when I have some of these restaurants that I kinda go out of my area to, and I always have a back haul on my way back. I always stop and pick up a load and bring it back when I go by his place.
That's good. That's the
Yeah,
way to do it.
but that's
Efficient.
not yeah, but that's not with the trailer, that's just with my trucks. I'm not into that trailer. I got another one. Do you remember when we did we play that game where I would list a number and you had to tell me what it meant?
Yes.
Okay, I have another one for you. This is a dual number one.
Ooh.
The numbers are 0 and 999. What do those 2 numbers mean, Dan?
Um, the range of cords of wood you have in your wood yard. I don't know.
No, the number 0 and the number 999. Those are the only 2 choices for the brake controller in my truck when I'm pulling my trailer. I If I just look at the dial on my brake controller, it goes from 0 to 999. I will have 0 brakes where I'm like being pushed through the intersection to where it's throwing me through the windshield when you touch the brakes. Oh boy. I think it's time for a new brake controller.
That's yeah, that sounds like you might need to look into that. That could
Oh gosh. Yeah. But how's your supply? Maybe I need to start selling small firewood
oh
and I'll just copy your business model and advertise in all the same places that you do.
yeah, you could, but you might be hurting for keeping up with demand as well. I
You
mean,
think?
it could be. Been I like I said last October, this past October was very busy. I'm kind of getting into that same uh mindset of am I far enough ahead with my current inventory, or do I really
Yeah.
need, it's yeah, it gets to be a little stressful sometimes. But
Yeah,
What can you do?
that is what I'm dealing with. So if you were to show up at my yard right now, you would say, "Ah, he's got logs." But if you looked closer, they're not they're not my money makers. The one is I got a lot of oak, and then the others are these crooked and two big maples. And that's the old fashioned way of chainsaw and splitter. And like I said, Dan, I'm getting old. I can't continue to do that kind of stuff. I got to use my processors in order to be effective.
Right. You have to work smarter, not harder. That
Yeah.
is the
And
the
and
the mantra.
and that's my challenge, is working smarter. Yeah. Well, that's what my wife would tell you.
Yes.
Oh
Oh,
yeah.
well,
Well, Dan, I was going to say, well, let's thank everyone for tuning in to the Woodhounds podcast, the number one
yes.
firewood podcast in the world. My name is Joe, and I am sitting next to.
My name is what is my name? Well, you can call me Shifty. That's what a lot of people do. But my name is
Yeah.
Dan, Back 40 Firewood.
Yeah, I am a professional firewood delivery service, and Dan is a.
Lonely hobbyist in the
Yeah,
firewood niche.
yeah, yes, he is. But you're
Speaking of
everyone's favorite hobbyist, Dan.
speaking of niches, though, I was doing a little perusing around social media,
Yeah.
and I came across some posts that you had made. I think from your trip to Germany
Oh,
a while
yeah.
back, if you guys remember that. And I was just wondering what was with that old car. I don't know if we
The
ever
old
talked about
car.
that.
Yeah, that's one of the most famous cars in the world. Um, Much more famous than the General Lee or Kit or that van from the A Team. This was uh, this was the car that Archduke Franz Ferdinand was assassinated in. It's like a 1912 something something car made in Europe, and it had a bullet hole in the side of it, where him and his wife Sophie were assassinated in 1914.
Oh,
And it was in a museum, and I was there and I saw it. That was like a car that's been in all of the books that I've been reading my whole life. And it was just kind of cool and weird to like be right there and to see it, that it actually exists.
well, I know you had
Yeah.
mentioned it before. I think on previous episode, and I know we've in passing we've kind of talked about it, but I will be honest, I had no idea
Yeah.
what that car was or what it meant.
Well, I
I'm not a
guess it
history
was a
buff.
very expensive car for its time. It kind of has that Model T look kind of a
Yeah.
car to it, with the wooden
Yep.
spoked wheels. And it was an open carriage, and it had the big back seat that uh, the Franz Ferdinand and his wife were sitting in. And then the side that I was standing, where I took the picture, was the side. Now that was the side that Sophie was on, and the first shot went through the door of it and killed her. And then the second shot went into the neck of Franz Ferdinand. The the most influential historical event of the modern world, because it started World War One, which led to World War Two and the Cold War, the division of Europe, and every other bad thing that's happened pretty much can be traced back to that lone event in June of 1914.
Wow.
That's some serious history there. I was
Yes.
there and I saw the actual car. Yeah, it was cool.
So it's kind of like all these things you've thought of, read about, envisioned in your mind, all of a sudden there it was in front of you
Yes.
in
Yeah,
person.
that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I appreciate all the history, especially here in the States with the Civil War and the Revolutionary War and Plymouth Rock, the first settlements and all. But when you think of old as an old here, as in Western culture, you know, old in Europe is a different kind of old. because yeah, there's Roman ruins in Germany. Over here, we got houses from the 1700 and they're like roped off and stuff as
Ancient.
like
Yeah.
some historical landmark. But over there, people still live in houses built in the 1500s, for crying out loud.
Wow. Yeah, well,
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. I had no idea what that car was, so that
yeah,
just shows
yeah. It was
my lack of knowledge.
well, they had the uniform that he was wearing, and they had a kerchief that Sophie had that was blood splattered. The whole story of the assassination is just fascinating. It was a exercise in bad security. the whole the whole thing about it. Yeah, it's just I think one of the things I'm not as much up on as I probably should be is World War One. But I did know about the assassination of the Archduke Franz Ferdinand. But I don't know, just to be there and see it was a big deal. I really enjoyed it.
And there was another photo as well that I was wondering about, and that was just of a grave site.
A
Did that
grave
have any
site. So,
connection?
well, the first name on the headstone was Sophie, and that's not the same Sophie from the car. So that is, I just kind of feel, I don't know. I mean, I'm good saying all this because she's a personal hero of mine, and she's buried in the cemetery in Munich, Germany. That is the gravesite of Sophie Scholl, and she was a member of the White Rose, which was a peaceful resistance movement during the Nazi Germany in World War II. So the White Rose was a group of 5 college students and 1 college professor. There was Sophie Scholl and her brother Hans Scholl, Christoph Probst, Willy Graf, and Alexander Schmorell, and then their professor Kurt Huber. So this group, they didn't like what was going on. The boys were in college for medical school, and part of the conscription was they had to serve on the front lines. So they were in Stalingrad during that disaster going on out there. And when they came back after their term was up, they saw with their own eyes what was going on, and they were catching up on all this propaganda that didn't align with reality. And they started printing these leaflets where they were writing, these uh, alerts to the people to open your eyes because we're being led down the wrong road here. This is a disaster. And they were a very religious group, and the Scholls were of Lutherans in Bavaria was largely like Catholic, and they were Lutherans, and the writings were rich with their religion and their intellectual pursuits. And so anyhow, Sophie Scholl was a hero of mine, and I had a chance to go to her grave, and I went to her grave. So I took another step though. I made my own White Rose walking tour. So Lowry from TP Silva played along with me, and I put together all these particular sites that we wanted to go see, and we did it. The big deal with the White Rose was these leaflets. They went into this building at the university, and it was this big atrium inside, like these 3 stories of catwalks with this big open center. And they were passing out these leaflets, and she pushed them off the railing, and they went floating down into the atrium, and the janitor saw them and arrested them, ratted them out, and the Gestapo took them away, and they were interrogated for 3 days. So we went into that building where it happened. And this building, Dan, I've read about this since high school. And it's like now that I'm older as a dad, I see the White Rose and I see Sophie Scholl through the eyes of her father, because the dad, this is a time of a world, where people were falling in line, and the kids were joining the Hitler Youth, and he was teaching his kids to think for themselves and to, to be different. And they were, the all the girls back then had braids. They were all going to these clubs that were trying to indoctrinate them to be good mothers and stay at home and raise families. And Sophie was an intellectual. She liked reading books. She wanted to go to school. She had her hair cut short. When all the other girls wanted to sit around and talk about boys, she wanted to talk about Saint Augustine, and Thomas Aquinas and all of the people that she reads about. She just didn't fit in. But here she got arrested by the Gestapo for pushing these pamphlets off this banister. And I was there. I walked into the exact same atrium, and they have a marker where all of this took place.
Wow.
And this is all going on, and I mean, uh, I think you're smart enough to know that if you spoke out against the Nazis back then, things weren't going to go good for you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that I do know.
Yeah, you're gonna have some you're gonna have some things against you. Yeah, but they had they called in. There's this one rabid judge, Roland Freisler. He was the judge that would scream at everyone. It was just a show trial. It was a mockery of justice. And they got brought before the judge, and he condemned them to death. And before they sent him away, he asked if they had anything to say. And in the movie, there is a movie made about them. Sophie stands up and she says, "One day you are going to stand where I am." I was like, "Gosh, she's so
Ooh,
tough."
yeah.
Now, did she say that? I don't know. Some reports is her brother said it. But we went to the courthouse where where these proceedings took place. So I was in the actual courtroom where it happened, and I could sit in the seat that Freisler was, where he was standing in judgment of the White Rose. But then three of them on that very same day, as a show trial, they were guillotined. So
Ooh,
here is a
jeez.
21-year-old, 22-year-old college woman who on Thursday gets arrested for speaking out against the government, and then on Monday at 5 p.m. she's murdered. You know, and so we also went, and that's where after we went to that courthouse, and then we went to the gravesite, and we bought a bouquet of white roses. We put them on her grave. It was just a big deal for me. I guess I'm kind of nerdy on these things. But that's why there is a picture of a headstone on
Oh,
with the white roses
yeah.
laying on top of it. Yeah. And so the thing is, though, dig this. Um, what we're in 2025 now. This took place in 1943. So the government, the Nazis tried to silence her and the White Rose. So the road that the courthouse sits on is now known as Sophie Strasse. It's named after Sophie Scholl. There is a museum in the courthouse in that same courtroom where it took place, named after the White Rose. The plaza that the building on the campus sits on is known as the Scholl Siblings Plaza, and the other side of it is named after Professor Kurt Huber. There are now over 200 schools in the country of Germany named after Sophie Scholl. That
Wow.
is, yeah. So that is the impact that she had. Just a simple, well, I wouldn't call her simple. She's really a dynamic person. Um, just a single person can have that much of an impact. And you may not think that you are at the time that it's happening, but you know, years later, if whenever there's a poll in Germany of like the most notable, most famous German women, like Angela Merkel is like number one, and Sophie Scholl is always like number two or three. That's how important she is in that country.
Huh. Well,
Yeah. And that
that's
was
something.
something I read about in high school, and it's just been a part of me this whole time.
And then you went full circle
Yeah.
on that trip.
I
Yeah.
walked in her footsteps. The
Yeah.
most frustrating part was there's this famous picture of her with the four boys, I mean, four men, and they were in their uniforms. They were at the train station and they were heading off to the Eastern Front. And there's this picture of Sophie, and she's standing on this fence, and she's holding on to the fence, and the boys are on the other side getting ready to get on the train. Anyhow, the location of this fence has been determined. It was like at 61 Orleansstrasse in Munich. And I wanted to go to the fence. It's a very unique architecture. It's like wrought iron kind of a fence. So that was on our list. We were going to go to the fence and we're going to go stand in the exact same spot that this picture was taken. So when we were getting out there, there's all this construction going on. And I was like, where's the fence at? They cut the fence down. It's been sitting there forever. And then like this year, it got cut down. I was really upset about it. And I wrote a letter to the White Rose Foundation, which is in Munich. And they replied to me and they said that they were aware of this and that the contractor had saved that panel. And they were like, cutting off pieces of it to ship to all of the schools around the country that are named after Sophie Scholl.
Huh.
To get, for them to do whatever it is to them. Yeah, but what the heck? I mean, we went all the way there to see this fence and it's gone.
Oh, yeah. Well, that happens.
Gosh, it was a historical artifact and they just cut it down. Gosh.
Well, that's pretty interesting. Like I said, it's kind of I know you had mentioned something before, and I knew you were a little bit of a history buff, but man, you really maybe that's why you're feeling so old, is you're just like always thinking about old stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. I think when people ask, who's your hero and stuff, it's always the same ones, but mine's this young college woman from Munich, Germany, that got murdered in 1943. Yeah. And she lives forever. It's just kind of, they sent her into that room to murder her, to silence her forever. But the result was quite the opposite.
Yeah. All right. Well.
Yeah. These are the things that you talk about when you're stacking firewood. We had talked about this, Dan, like we needed to have like background sounds of just stacking wood, and we can just talk about random things.
Yeah, this would have been definitely one of those conversations. We should have been stacking some wood. Then you would had, something done in the wood yard, and here we are with a podcast episode.
And then next episode, we'll talk about my other personal hero, the Iron Sheik.
Oh my. I don't know if we can tell stories about him or any quotes that he used to have. Let me tell you, he had a couple words that he would always use, and they were like every other or every third word. And it's probably one we can't say on the podcast here.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, Dan, what do you think? Maybe we should strike up the band? Is it that time?
Yeah, let's strike it up. Strike it up, and thank everyone for tuning in to the Wood Hounds. You can find us right back here next week on your favorite streaming service, 5 a.m. Eastern, every Wednesday.
Yeah. And thank you, everyone. Please, if you would consider giving us a 5-star review, that would help us out. And it would help Dan sell more small firewood.
I don't know about that, but if it does, I'll take it. Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, Dan, let's tell everyone out there to stay
safe
and be
cool.
Not cool. It's freezing outside. And have
a great day.